Hello aspirants, welcome back to Daily Current Affairs Analysis by Civic Center IAS, where we break down the most relevant and high impact topics from the UPSC CSE prelims perspective from the Hindu, Indian Express and PIB. Well, the first article says that the CBI on Monday submitted a status report before Selden Court on its probe into the rape murder case at R.G. Medical College and Hospital. Now, in this context, it is important to know about CBI and its functions in India for the prelims perspective. Remember that the CBI is the premium investigating police agency in India functioning under the Department of Personnel under the Ministry of Personnel, Pension and Public Grievance. Further, it also coordinates investigation on behalf of Interpol member countries. Now, if we see its history, it was set up in the year 1963, recommended by the Sandhanam Committee on Prevention of Corruption. To your information, it was first passed by a resolution of the Ministry of Home Affairs and later it was transferred to the Ministry of Personnel. Now remember here that the most important thing is it is neither a constitutional body nor the statutory body but derives its powers from the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act 1946. Now if we see the functions of Central Bureau of Investigation, see it investigates the cases of corruption, bribery and misconduct of central government employees and also the cases related to infringement of physical and economic laws, that is breach of law concerning export and import control, customs and central excise, income tax, foreign exchange regulations and so on. And also it investigates serious crimes having national and international ramifications committed by organized gangs of professional criminals. Now furthermore, it also coordinates the activities of anti-corruption agencies and takes up any case of public importance for the investigation at the request of the state government. And lastly, it maintains the crime statistics and disseminates the criminal information. Now, moving to the second article, it says that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi will witness what has been pegged as the biggest ever Jhumar event in history on Monday to mark the 200th anniversary of Assam's tea industry. Now, in this context, let's know about the tea garden community in Assam and also about the Jhumar dance. Firstly, talking about the tea garden community in Assam, see, it traces back to the 19th century when workers from the central India like Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh and West Bengal migrated to Assam and they were brought to work in British established tea gardens often under forced and exploitative conditions. But today, they're concentrated in large tea estates like Upper Assam and Barak Valley. Yet, they remain economically marginalized and are among the poorest communities in the state. They hold a OBC status in Assam but demand the scheduled tribes status similar to the Munda and Santhal tribes in the native regions. Now, in the same context, let's talk about the Jhumar dance. Know that Jhumar dance is a folk tradition of Southern ethno-linguistic group from the Chota Nagpur plateau. Remember, it is very important for the prelims thing. So it is a folk tradition of the Southern ethno-linguistic group from the Chota Nagpur region. It plays a vital role in the tea garden festivals such as Tushu Puja and Karam Puja celebrating the harvest season in Assam, right? Now, if we see the performance style, women are the main dancers and singers while men play traditional instruments like madal, dol, dak, cymbals, flutes and also shernai. And they stand shoulder to shoulder with coordinated footwork and rhythmic movements set to upbeat the tunes. And specifically, red and white sarees are popular among women, though attire varies by communities and the songs are sung in native languages like Nagpuri, Kota and Kurmali with influences from Assamese. The next article says that PM Kisan completes 19 successful installments. Now, in this context, let's talk about the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, that is in short PM Kisan. Know that it was launched in the year 2019, which comes under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Significantly, it aims to provide direct financial assistance to the land-holding farmers to supplement their income, improve their agriculture productivity, and also reduce the dependence on money lenders. Now, under the scheme, farmers receive a 6,000 per year in 3 equal installments through the direct benefit transfer, ensuring transparency by crediting the amount directly into the Aadhaar-linked bank accounts, thus reducing the role of intermediaries. Now, additionally, the scheme has embraced many technological advancements such as PM Kisan Mobile App, which is used for tracking benefits and also completing the eKYC through the facial recognition along with the AI chatbot, that is your Kisan Mitra, which is introduced in the year 2023 for instant query resolution with the multilingual support. Now, overall, if we see, this PM Kisan plays a very crucial role in empowering the farmers and also promoting the financial inclusion, thereby transforming the rural India. The next article says that tribal families which once inhabited the Simlipal Tiger Reserve in Odisha have alleged that they had rights to continue their age-old rituals in sacred forest groves which have been denied following the translocation of the tigress from Maharashtra. Now in this context, it is important to know what are these sacred groves. See, sacred groves are patches of forest or vegetation dedicated to the deities, ancestral spirits or natural elements, traditionally protected by the local communities through the social taboos and cultural beliefs. Now, they are characterized by their natural or near natural vegetation preserved due to belief in maintaining their sanctity for the spiritual and ecological reasons. In India, over 50,000 sacred groves are reported. Some prominent examples include Maplalang in Meghalaya, Devas in Himachal Pradesh, Bugyals in Uttarakhand, Orans in Rajasthan, Sarpakavu in Kerala, Kovilkavu in Tamil Nadu, and also Saranas in Central India, etc., each reflecting the unique cultural and ecological significance. The next article says that the Spices Board is working with the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, that is FSSAI, and other regulatory agencies to bring in more regulations for the industry to usher in sustainable approaches and conservation-driven strategies to develop the industry. Now, in this context, let's talk about the Spices Board. The Spices Board is a statutory body under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry responsible for the development, promotion and export of Indian spices globally. And if we see the primary objective of Spices Board, it is to promote the global export of Indian spices by maintaining the high quality standards, enhancing the production through research and farmer support, and also encouraging the organic farming. Additionally, it also focuses on developing and processing the infrastructure, regulating the exporters, and also the driving innovation in processing and packaging, and also educating the stakeholders through the promotional materials. And if we see for importers, the board facilitates global trade by connecting them with reliable Indian exporters, handling the trade inquiries and complaints, and also organizing the international buyer-seller platforms and ensuring the quality standards. The next article says that the human body was not built for the space flight with its microgravity conditions, exposure to high energy radiation and other issues. As a result, trekking beyond the Earth's confines causes many physiological changes that affects an astronaut's health. Now, in this context, let's talk about the impact of space travel on human health. See, space travel poses a significant psychological and physiological challenges due to microgravity conditions, high energy radiation and other unique factors. And now in space, astronauts are exposed to the cosmic radiation that can cause DNA damage, increase cancer risk and also the neurodegenerative effects, and also immune system dysregulation, especially during the missions beyond the low Earth orbit, where the Earth's magnetic field offers no protection. Additionally, microgravity leads to fluid shifts that increase the intracranial pressure affecting the vision, while the bone density loss and also muscle atrophy occur due to the reduced mechanical loading. And it also impacts the cardiovascular system, making it difficult to regulate the blood pressure upon returning to the earth and affecting the balance and coordination due to changes in the inner ear. Now, if you see the next article, it says that External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and heads of missions of 61 countries took elephant and jeep safari rides in Kaziranga National Park on Monday, officials said. Now, in this context, let's talk about the Kaziranga National Park, which is located in the Golghat and Nagon districts of Assam along the banks of Brahmaputra River, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1985. And it is renowned for being home to 5 big, that is the one-horned rhinoceros holding about 70% of the global population, Royal Bengal tiger, Asian elephant, wild water buffalo and swamp deer. Now, it is also declared as a tiger reserve in the year 2006 under the Project Tiger, where Kaziranga features a unique floodplain ecosystem with wetlands, grasslands, and semi-evergreen forests shaped by annual flooding from the Brahmaputra. Notably, the Tifalo River flows through its core tiger habitat, while the Madifalo River marks its southern boundary, and significantly, the park is celebrated as a conservation success story, especially for reviving the one-horned rhinoceros population to the effective anti-poaching measures. And also, it is recognized as a Ramsar site in the year 2021 for its rich wetland ecosystem. And remember, it is also part of Eastern Himalayan biodiversity hotspot. Now, if you see the next article, it says that a sharp slowdown in India's manufacturing sector, a key driver of job creation, was a major factor in the Monetary Policies Committee's decision to cut the key repo rate earlier this month, said by the external member. Now, in this context, let's talk about the repo rate. Repo rate, which is the interest rate at which the central bank of a country lends money to the commercial banks. Significantly, it serves as a crucial monetary policy tool to regulate the liquidity, control inflation, and stimulate the economic growth. So, when these commercial banks face a shortage of funds, they borrow from the RBI at the repo rate using the collaterals like the treasury bills or government bonds. And also, an increase in the repo rate makes borrowing more expensive, helping to control the inflation by restricting the money flow in the economy. While a decrease in the rate stimulates the economic growth by encouraging borrowing and increasing the liquidity. Now, for the public, a higher repo rate leads to higher interest rates on loans, reducing borrowing by individuals and businesses. Conversely, a lower repo rate results in lower interest rates, making the loans cheaper and boosting the market liquidity. Now, moving to the last article of the day, it says that the historic Tea Horse Road connecting India and China through Tibet. Now, in this context, let's talk about the Tea Horse Road, which was a historic commercial network spanning over 2000 kilometers connecting China to India via Tibet, and also facilitating the trade and cultural exchanges for centuries. Although less known than the Silk Road, it was vital in the international trade linking the southwest China to the Indian subcontinent. Furthermore, the route began in southwest China, passing through the Dali and Lijiang in Yunnan province, reaching the Lhasa in Tibet and extending to India, Nepal and Bangladesh. See, as the name tells, the trade was driven by tea, essential for the Tibetan nomads in cold climates, particularly yak butter tree. Now, while the horses were crucial for the China's military and transport needs, so official markets were established by the 10th century to regulate the trade, and tea bricks were used as currency in the medieval Tibet. And now in modern times, China has promoted tourism along the historic path, with the Lijiang designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the year 1997, celebrated as a goods distribution center linking the Sichuan, Yunnan and Tibet, marking the intersection of the Southern Silk Road and also the Asian Tea Horse Road. So with this, we conclude today's current affairs analysis, and we'll be back tomorrow with